Ready. Play.
Press record now, but we're not live, so.
I'm fine for anything, so.
Yeah. I actually think the first topic we're going to... You got your beer all right? Yeah. I think the first topic we're going to talk about actually might be the one that you have least interest in and actually might find the most difficult to answer because it's not entirely tennis related. And it is this reaction, if you like, at least from social media, to the reception or the ceremony that Nadal had post-retirement. People said it was a bit flat. You know, I saw one tweet which was like, "Oh, that's perfect for Nadal because, you know, he's humble and all the rest of it." I don't subscribe to that because you're going to have a ceremony. You're going to have a ceremony, and it's not like he says after winning the French Open for the 14th time, "I don't want to lift that trophy." So I don't subscribe to that, and I do think that it certainly could have been a lot better. But tennis is tricky in terms of organising. We know this in terms of when we're still watching slams at 3 a.m. and we sort of have our ideas on how it can be improved, but because of the nature of the sport, it can be difficult. What are your thoughts?
It's mostly depending on the format of the event, right? I mean, when someone is retiring in a normal tournament, there's always the question of like, which round is he going to go out? Sometimes when that player is just like barely still on tour and you pretty much know it's going to be one match, like Dominic Thiem this year. Exactly.
Next year.
Gasquet, the French, probably, although he did win a match this year, actually, 3 hours over Chorich. I don't know how he did it. But anyway, yeah, I think if that's the case, then it's easy. But if that's a player who's like still active, still very much, you know, in like capable of going deep, then you never know if it's going to be this round or this round. And with Davis Cup, it was even much trickier because.
Well, just quickly, sorry, but Serena it's still easy though. I mean, like Serena, for example, we don't know whether she's going to go out first round or semis, and it's still you just do it after that match.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the aspects will be tougher, like the Djokovic, Murray, Federer thing showing up, right? I mean,
but also easier because they're going to be in town.
Well, if they're still playing.
Yeah.
Which in the Serena case,
True.
I guess was true, but now it's not really anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Davis Cup made it even worse because, yeah, you don't know if Rafa is going to play singles. If he only plays doubles, you don't know which day. You don't know if even it will be needed. So I think, yeah, it was just a tricky thing for the organizers in that sense. I didn't actually see the ceremony, so I can't really tell you if it was good or not.
I can tell you that I must say the first 120 seconds or so of it, I was a bit like, oh, this is actually not as good as I thought. As in, like, I expected it to be like to go dark and we're going to go and see an amazing video that's going to have... I mean, I remember Songas, for example, 2 years ago, and I mean, that was in the bright lights of the afternoon sunshine of Paris, but it was still, I don't know, I was really moved by it. João Sousa, we saw it in person this year, didn't we? And I loved it. Now, of course, maybe if you're, no disrespect for Sousa in particular, but also Tsonga, maybe if you're there and you're seeing, because for Sousa he had Federer, Nadal and Djokovic as part of that. If you're Nadal, Djokovic or Federer, where do you go from there in terms of having these amazing people to look at? But I still thought I forget what happened, but there was just sort of nothing happening and it sort of felt a bit weird and I thought, well, are they going to play a video at all? Then the video itself, again, I remember, I'll give you an example. I think Movistar, the Spanish TV network, did a really cool one for Rafa last year before he'd even retired. And they did like a Dear Rafa thing. And it was composed, I think, at least, or certainly spoken by some journalist. And it's like a Dear Rafa, we all remember you, at this age. And then we saw bits of his career. I thought that 60 seconds, 120 seconds was far more moving than we saw the other night. Now, I get the logistics of it. By the way, we had David Beckham in there. I don't know if we need Beckham. Yeah, Raul. And by the way, no disrespect to David either, but I'm calling him David there. With tennis players, we can call them by their first name, but I'm not sure I can call David Beckham David, but Becks. It did feel a bit naff, a bit, yeah, whatever. So the video, I think, could have been better. You did have Djokovic, Federer, of course, and Murray in that video. But of course, the question will be to get them in the city. I still think, I mean, Djokovic now at first probably looked a bit of a fool because Djokovic said, as soon as the time, he said, I'll be there in Malaga. Now I'm sure it's not his fault that he wasn't there. Especially if I'm led to believe that he's training in Marbella. Please get in the comment section below, by the way, if he's not. But Marbella is like an hour away. I think that they could have said, look, we don't know. I think, because it does seem like they just planned everything for Friday or Sunday. thinking that they would just skittle the Netherlands over quite easily and move on, because there was no provision, at least. If those 3 players, by the way, put out a statement saying, we were asked to come on Wednesday as well, there was a ceremony planned. I'll tell you when I found out, as a member of the media, if you like, in a WhatsApp group, which was like just as I think just before the doubles match began, there was if Spain lose, there's going to be a ceremony after today. If Spain win, it'll be whatever. So I don't know whether that decision was taken on Wednesday. Honestly, it does feel a bit, all a bit disorganized, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it is somewhat inconsistent also of the nominations, because if we assume that, the best, most optimal way to win the tie was playing RBA, and they were like really expecting them to be in the semis, then maybe play RBA here and then try to play Nadal on
I mean, that's
Friday.
A captain's choice, of course.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different... I think that was all connected, though. Like, Federer also probably was expecting that they were going to be in the tournament by the semis. But yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, the video, as you said, that's not really limited by time when it happens. That's
right.
Something they could have prepared if you're saying it wasn't like, the magnitude wasn't quite there. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen some good retirement ceremonies. You mentioned some of them. The ones where you're at the events, they definitely hit you harder, like Joao Sousa, like Matkovski's one I remember in 2019 was really good as well. But from the TV, I think like just watching at home, I shed a tear on 2 of them, and Tsonga was one of them. Definitely.
Okay, yeah.
That was a fantastic
I
one.
loved the Tsonga one, yeah.
He played an incredible match.
Yeah, he did. Sure. Yeah, that helps maybe.
That
Lost
helps,
it,
definitely. Like 4 sets, just toe-to-toe with Casper Ruud, who was one of the, I don't know if tournament favorites, but, favorites to go deep.
Yeah.
Of course, he gets injured in the last game, but, like, the fact that the match was there, I think, helped a lot. But I don't know, it was really moving for me, even though
I agree.
I can't say that he was, like, my favorite player or whatever. I did like him, but still, it was fantastic. And, of course, the other one being the Federer one. And that's maybe also something that we're kind of going to be looking at in the next few years. Like, the bar is set really high by that Laver Cup.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Toni Nadal has also come out and been pretty critical of the ceremony as well, which also suggests, look, the idea that he just wants to low-key say goodbye. And also, by the way, when David Ferrer got the mic, like to give a sort of on-court sort of few words for Rafa, if you like, I thought, okay, because listen, David Ferrer and Nadal have a history together. I think they played each other 18 times, I'm going to say. I think it's 18. So 18 and 0 as well for Rafa.
No, that's Federer.
Of course
Federer
it is.
17
yeah.
and 0, I think.
Yeah, but they have played each other a
Federer
lot.
beat him like 6 times, maybe.
Okay.
It's like 24-6. That's a guess, something like that. So anyway.
But of course they have a history together. They're both Spanish. They're not a million miles away in terms of their ages as well. So there is a story there. But it was like, we just don't have anyone else here. So he's the next best person to give the mic to. I mean, maybe even Feliciano Lopez could have been an option too. But yeah.
Mark Lopez? Was Mark Lopez there?
Yeah, he was. And maybe even Carlos Moya. You know what? I think Carlos Moya would have been a better choice even. Or both of them. I mean, maybe they asked Carlos and Carlos said he didn't want to do it. But I would have loved to have had 5 minutes from... That would have really maybe brought a tear to my eye, for example, to hear Carlos Moya talk what it's been like for 5, 7, 8 years being his coach, whatever it is, 7 years.
Not even that, but Rafa beat him in his first...
Well, right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they go back to Rafa's teens, early teens, I think. So that would have been amazing to hear 5 minutes from him. And I think, you'd have seen Rafa. Rafa was tearing up a couple of times during the event, but he didn't really tear up when David Ferrer. It was just nice. And Rafa's probably almost never going to say anything about it because you're not going to say anything because they're silly. But anyway, that is that. I think what we'll see is for my last comment on this is I think that Roland Garros are going to go big, and they've got 9 months to prepare for it, and they're going to get it right. And I think we'll see something, especially as they didn't really do much for him this year, but that was all part of Rafa's plan because Rafa said, I don't want anything because I still don't know 100% that I won't be here next year. Well, we know that now. And I think probably the Sunday of Roland Garros, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pretty big ceremony just before the tournament begins on Philippe Chatrier.
I guess that's the thing as well, that like Rafa got a lot of retirement ceremonies already, and he will keep getting them.
And
so
yet the best one, if you like, was not a ceremony. It was an impromptu thing on the bridge in Rome with him just sort of waving to the crowd and them singing Rafa. That was
kind
one.
of like the Pope.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When they go into the...
Yeah, exactly. On the balcony there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button,
don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.